In today's video, we are going to take a BetterPress plate and mask the impression and then stencil behind it to show you how you can stencil behind your BetterPress plates. Hey guys, I'm Melanie with Melanie Smith Stamps, and I hope that you enjoy this video. Let's get started. Okay, I have Justine's Farm here, and this is Clover. This is one of her press plates from her collection, and so this is Clover, and I just love this little cow. She is precious. I wanted to make a background behind her, so I got some Gina K's Masking Magic, and I got a scrap here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place this up here in the top corner. And then I'm going to place my BetterPress plate right there. So I know this is the corner that I need to stamp in. That's just giving me the placement guide to know where to put my masking paper. So I'm going to put my masking paper in the BetterPress like so. And then we are going to ink up this plate. And I'm going to leave it in the placement where I have it because that's where my paper is. And I'm going to ink up this plate. The plate does not have to be inked perfectly. I just need these edges really inked so that I can cut it out, because this is the mask that we're going to use. So I'm just going to roughly ink that. Now remember, your BetterPress is a stamping tool as well. So you don't have to use your BetterPress as an impression tool like a letterpress. It can actually stamp paper just like to do sentiments or any kind of stamping if it's a press plate. So in this instance, I am using it on masking paper to get this detail here. So now that I've done that, I can go ahead and use my LDRS Extreme Clean and just put some of on here to marinate so my plate does not stain. I like to do that so that I don't have as much staining. LDRS Creative Extreme Clean is amazing cleanser if you don't like those nasty stains everywhere. So I have a 15% coupon code. If you would like to pick up some of that, I'll run that along the bottom of the screen. So here I am going to cut our mask out real quick, and then we will use this on our BetterPress. Let's see. So I'm just going to fussy cut this real quick. Just get it as close as you can to the actual press. Super easy. Right here, you just got to kind of free flow it because there isn't an exact beginning and end to that. So you can go as close as you want there. You can go in a little closer if you want, and come in a little bit more if you want to. Anything you cut off is going to get inked or stamped. So you do you and cut it the way you want to. Now I'm just going to go in here and cut a little bit more of this off. Doesn't have to be all gone, but you can do it as detailed as you want it. Okay, so here is my finished mask. And like I said, the head can be as detailed or as, far off as you want it. You just need to press. I've got my piece of paper here. This is my BetterPress paper. It's in bisque, I believe. I'm going to tape it in the two corners. And we're going to go ahead and ink this in the rustic. And I've put this up towards the top of the A2 section of my plate. And this time I'm going to ink it up really good because this is going to be my final impression that's going to be on my actual card. So I want this one to be a really good impression. this out of the way just a little bit and clean my background a little bit. Okay. Want them pretty centered. These little pieces down here now. All right, we're gonna press her out. All right, beautiful. There is all the detail and beauty of this gorgeous farm animal. Love it. Justine did an amazing job designing this. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and cover this plate with Extreme Clean so all of this does not stain my plate. And I'm going to go ahead and leave this to the side now. And we will move on. That way it does not stain in a little bit when I go back to clean it. Okay, what we're going to do is we are going to take our mask and peel it off this little girl up. There we go. Once you get it where you want it, then make sure you burnish it a little bit. Okay, that's good. So what I've done is I've dug through my stash and I found an old club stencil that I thought would be perfect for this, and we will see if it's going to work out or not. This is the Colorful Expression Garden stencil from August 2024 stencil of the month from Spellbinders. So I'm going to get my sticky mat and we will place our item that we're stenciling down on our sticky mat. And I've chosen some colors here, and these are a field of poppies is what we're creating. So I'm gonna line up my stencil. This does have registration marks and numbers like all of the Spellbinders stencils do in the club kits. Matter of fact, this month's club kit has sold out. I was notified earlier today that it was actually sold out. It was so popular. And it was a similar stencil to this. I don't know if this poppy one has sold out, but it's called Colorful Expressions Garden. And it's another floral that comes up from the bottom and comes out. So if you like that one that's out this month and you can't get your hold of it, check to see if we have August 2024 stencil of the month. You might like this one. So we're going to start with some greens, and I've got here Firefly, Grassfield, and Shadow Creek that I'm using from Altenew Fresh Dye. So this is Firefly. This is the lightest one. So I'm going to go ahead and just ink this on. And what I'm hoping for is this to look like the cow is in the field of poppies. That's what I'm going for. We won't know if it works until we get it done. But that is the goal here, is for it to look like he's or she is right in the middle of the field, peeking her head out. Okay, we are almost done with the first green layer. Just go over some of these in the other direction. I like to kind of make sure I go in both directions. Just make sure I don't miss any edges. I didn't do right there in the middle because that's where the cow's face is. So it looks like I got the one that's going over the edge, so that's good. Okay, I'll just set this to the side. Then stencil number 2 is a second green ink. So we will go a step up. This is stencil 2. And line it up right here. Make sure everything looks like it matches. And press it down. I'll change out to grass field. I'm going a step darker, so I'm not worrying about my blender brush since it's going darker and not lighter. Okay, looks like we've got all of those. Okay. Now we're going to go into the poppies. So this first one will be our first red. Well, our only red, crimson. So we're going to do that one. This is our third stencil. Okay, I did not have a red blender brush, so I'm starting a new one. I'm going with a light coat to start with. Figure I can always get darker. Sure that blend is real good in between them. Okay, let's see how that looks. Ooh, that's really pretty. Now this right here is gonna be not this color, but this color, because that is on the paper. So where you see it get super dark right here and super dark right here, that is actually on this white paper that we're going to pull off. So don't get too alarmed by that. But I think that's going to be really nice. Okay, now this one here is the centers of the flowers, I believe. Let's see. I think the centers, there are 2 centers. So let's see what we want to do with these. I'm going to look at the next stencil here for a second. Look at the back of this. Yes, this is portrayed by the blue here, is what this one is doing. Let me try to bring in velvet for this one, and then us go black. Those are behind the cow. Okay. Then we will bring in the last color. This is actually 2 things. This is the lines on the leaves and the centers of the flowers. Oh, it's also lines on the flowers. Okay, let's see here. I know I want to do the centers black, but I'm going to need a little detail brush for that. Let's get the black done first. I just want the center black. Okay, I think that's going to be all of the black. Now, the rest of this red, I'm going to get another detail brush. And before I do this, I'm going to wipe off this black because I don't want to cross-contaminate my reds that I pull on here. So just wipe that off your stencil. Okay, so I'm going to get some red on here. And let's see if this makes a difference here. Yeah, a little bit. It does a little bit, and that's okay. I don't need it to be a lot. Just to have a little nod to some details. When you have a dye-based ink and you do another layer of the same color, it dyes the paper just a little bit darker. And that's all we're doing here, is just dyeing that part of the paper just a little bit darker. It may dry back and be almost identical, and if it does, no harm, no foul. You can always go back and make it darker. You can't take it away if you make it real dark and you don't like it. That's my philosophy. All right, there we go. So I'm going to remove the red from the stencil now. Just so we don't have more cross-contamination, because we still have to do the green lines. So take that away, and now I'm going to bring in Shadow Creek, which is our darkest green. And again, I'm going to clean out one of these brushes because I do not think, well, I might have another blender brush. This one just needs super details. So just trying to clean out my brushes and use what I have. Get this on here again in the right placement. Okay. And this is our last time using this stencil now. Now we're just going to go in with some darker green, and we're going to do the little lines on the leaves. Just have little bits here and there, just on the green. I much like using larger blender brushes. I really don't care for using tiny blender brushes like this. Honestly, I like this size better. I don't know if I actually could get into these spaces with my green one. I might be able to. I just feel like they ink better. They ink the space better. If I can get it without getting into the other areas, that's the thing. But I just feel like it gets in there. Even those littlest of areas, it's still, the bristles still get in there better than the little bristle ones. I think it's because the slanted heads. I like the flat heads. I think the newer Altenew brushes actually have the flat heads. I bet you they are better. I don't have any of those. So let's see. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, so it's reveal time. Okay, I'm gonna lift our panel here and let's see how we did. Here's our panel. So I'm gonna see about pulling our, oh, before I do, this is the idea I had actually. I just don't want it to be stark white. Just make sure I don't have any darker greens in there. I was planning on doing this before I started, but this is lighter than any of the greens I used. I just wanted the paper not be stark white. Then at the top, a bit of blue above her head, as if it was the sky. And since there's a mask here, you can act behind her. That's why I didn't want to take her mask off. Okay, so for the reveal, let's see how it did. Okay, now I can go in now and we can actually color. So we won't go too drastic, but maybe just give her some browns. Let's see, antique linen, frayed, well, brushed corduroy maybe. Let's just test some of these. I like to test before I use. I want something that's going to look good with that. Okay, and this is how I test all my colors. Whenever I'm doing something and I want to color something in, I always do a swatch like that and I decide which I'm going to use. And to start with, I think I'm going to use the antique linen and gather twig. So let's pull those two out and see how we do here. So I'm going to go ahead and just give this some color. I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm just giving her some color. And let's see, this is the lighter, so we'll definitely do the lighter on the brim of her nose. And then we'll go in with the darker, and let's do the darker where the shadows would be. Water, just using a water pen here, water paintbrush, and let's make the magic happen. Getting that dark first. And pull it down into the light. Not going to fill that in right there just yet. I might decide to put some pink there. This is the darker area. This is the darker area. I'm using very, very little water. I'm not using a lot. I'm literally using just what's on there. I'm not squeezing any. Just going in here. This is a very fine tip pen. The fine tip, I mean not pen, but the fine tip water brush by Spellbinders that I'm using here. Gives you a lot of control. Squeeze a little more water out of my desk. Look at that. Isn't that cool? She's starting to come alive, isn't she? Get the spun sugar because it's the lightest. I'm just going to put a little pink in here, a little pink in here. Make sure my brush doesn't have brown in it. Too much water. Paper's too wet. Yep. That's a tinge enough. That'll be okay. There we go. I'm just going to put a little green here on some of these leaves, a dot on the leaves, and then I'll move it around. Super easy coloring. I'll put a pop of yellow up here. It'll be pretty with the brown. If we have any paper or water up here. So we'll go ahead and make these yellow. That out a little bit, make sure it's not yellow anymore. These to be green, just a tiny bit of water, so just a tap. You don't want that green going too far. There you go, just enough to give it a hint of color. Just going to put a little blue in here and we'll move that around on those flowers there. I'll just move this around a little bit. All right, guys, I hope that has given you some inspiration on how to mask your images so that you can do a background around your animals for the Justine Farm collection. Have an amazing day, my friends. Bye-bye for now.